First, I want to apologize for getting this session started a little bit late, but we had a closed session that ran a little bit long, and we were talking about some really important, very critical items, and wanted to get those finished before we came in here. So with that, I will recess the closed session at 7:12 and reconvene the open session at 7:12. We're going to have Mayflower lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I see those watchdogs out there and those mariners. Hey, this is looking good here. Okay. No. Swap with the Vice President.
Hi, my name is Dominic Manriquez, and this is Hudson Coulter, and we are going to lead you in the flag salute.
Put your right hand over your heart. Please stand and put your right hand over your heart.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic as it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We're going to hear from the principal of Mayflower right now.
Good evening, Board President Gilliland, and good evening, members of the board. Good evening, Dr. Tarosian. This year, Mayflower had the successful launch of our Watchdogs program, and it has proven to be a very valuable program for our school community. In November, we began this special program aimed at increasing a culture of support and providing students with male role models and mentors. This is a nationally recognized program that welcomes fathers and father figures to spend time with students on campus. These watchdogs support our students in and out of the classroom and have participated in larger school-wide events like our walkathon. Our team of dads this year was even covered in a local TV news story highlighting the benefits of the program. And tonight I've brought with me two of our students who have watchdog dads, and they're going to come up and share with you a little bit about what it means to them to have their dads participate in this program.
My name is Hudson Coulter, and I'm a second grade student at Mayflower. My dad, Kevin Coulter, is a watchdog. I like when my dad comes to school and volunteers as a watchdog and plays football with us at recess. It is really cool to have dads on campus helping us have fun.
Hi, my name is Dominic Manriquez. I'm in second grade at Mayflower, and my dad, Mario, is a watchdog too. I love having my dad help around campus. It's cool that he helps me, but he also helps other kids in my class. In my classroom, he helps with spelling and helps my friends with reading.
I also have Mr. Manriquez and Mr. Coulter here, and they want to share just a couple words with you about what this program has meant to them this year.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin Coulter, as my son Hudson said. And I've been with the Watchdogs program since we started this year at Mayflower, and it's been a great experience so far. We're in our first year, so we're recruiting a bunch of new dads and just getting it all going. But what I've done with the program mainly is to show up at recess once a week, and usually with Mario, and we'll organize a football game with the kids. First with the second and third graders, and the second recess with the fourth and fifth graders. And it's been excellent, just getting to know all the other kids that we wouldn't know otherwise. And now when I show up on campus to pick up Hudson or drop off, I see all these kids that I didn't know before, and they're coming up to me, and they're excited, and they're wondering when I'm going to come again to get a football game going with them. So it's been a real positive experience.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, just by going off of what Kevin said and just adding to that, One of the things that I really saw as an added plus to the program was being able to see my son in a different light in the playground or in class, and just kind of getting to know him a little bit in that sense. And at the same time, him kind of seeing me in a different light, volunteering, helping with some of the other kids. So we kind of benefit from the both of that the fact that we get to kind of really get to know each other a little better in that sense. So that is one big plus with the program. So one of the initiatives that we're trying to work on now is trying to recruit more fathers into the program so they get to enjoy that as well. So thank you.
So I thank you so much for letting us share with you a little bit about this program, and hope you enjoyed hearing about it. As the dad said, we are in the process of recruiting more dads. We have a core group of about 12 or 13 dads right now who show up on a regular basis, and this program has proven to be very valuable for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Watchdogs is such a great program, and you got to know this board is so thankful to the dads that participate in that and those people that support that and put it together. So now maybe we could get these proud dads and the boys and the principal up front for a picture with all of us.
Thanks for coming out. It's an awesome thing. Thank you for having us. You know, it's funny, we started this 10 years ago. Thanks for being here with my kids and Brad. Thank you. Yeah, when we started it all over in Black. Dads just want to be told what to do. So if you say, come and do this, they'll show up. Thank you very much. Especially when you say, come play, then they're like, good to go. Good job. Good job, Michelle. Thanks for coming out. It's you again.
Actually, you can make her come around the front end and do the spot right there. That works.
I see everybody. Look over here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, Ed. Thank you.
When I can get it. You know, she's gonna call you out every time. I'm just saying. Not from experience or anything.
All right, thanks so much. That was great. Let the roll call show that all board members and cabinet are present. Student board member Mr. Cupp is here. In the closed session this evening, we did take a couple of actions. In closed session, on motion of Mr. Wong, seconded by Ms. Lockerbie, the board voted unanimously to uphold the district's finding regarding a public employee complaint and to direct the superintendent or her designee to notify the employee in writing of this action pursuant to board policy 4119.11 and administrative regulation 4031. Also in closed session, the board took action to terminate the employment of a permanent classified employee ID number GE 4774708 for abandonment of position effective April 25th, 2019. The vote was unanimous. All right, order of business. Are there any changes to the order of business?
There are, President Gill and members of the board.
Agenda item 1134, and that's number 4 in consent, a personal services contract with real-time captioning, will be moved from consent to become the first action item under human resources. And Dr. Jackson will present.
All right, anything else? Hearing nothing else, we'll get back on the agenda over here. Board member reports. No, we better approve the minutes of the regular Board of Education, April 10th. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
I abstain.
Motion carries 4-0.
All right, now we'll get to the board member reports. Mr. Vante, I believe you have a report?
Yes, President Gilliland, thank you. I just want to report as the liaison from the district to the Chamber of Commerce, Monrovia Chamber of Commerce. We held a mixer last Wednesday evening right here at the district office, and it was very well attended. And I just want to express thank you for those that were here. The relationships that we have with our stakeholders in the community and business owners are critical for all of our schools because they do support our schools. They do support programs. For example, the robotics program that just went to Houston, we had a large amount of supporters from the Chamber of Commerce. So I want to thank them for attending. And we actually created some great relationships that night, new partnerships. So that's what I wanted to report on. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lockerbie.
Just briefly, I wanted to remind you all that this Saturday, the 27th, is Mayflower Elementary's disco fundraiser silent auction at the Santa Anita Golf Course. Tickets can be purchased at the door. Hope to see you all there. It's going to be a fun evening.
I just want to give a shout out to all those schools that are opening their doors for open house and all the hard work that's going on by the teachers and the staff to make those just wonderful evenings. We were at Brad Oaks last night, and it was, the jazz band from the high school was there, and it was just a great evening of seeing what's going on there. I got to talk to a couple of parents that are putting their children in that for the first time next year, and it's just exciting what's going on in our district. Also want to give a big shout out to the kids that participated in the Lion King and all the staff and people that were behind that. I go to a lot of presentations and a lot of professional shows, and I got to tell you, that was one of the most fun stage shows I've ever been to, and those fifth graders did just a fabulous job. If you missed it, you missed it, because it was wonderful. And some of those little kids that were playing roles are just indelibly imprinted up there on my mind because they're so cute. Anyway, great job. So thank you for that. Jared, how about a board member or a student board member report?
Good evening, President Gilliland, members of the board, Dr. Therosian, and cabinet. I am happy to report that our schools are preparing to take the state test next month. Please wish us luck as we begin the testing season. And that's all I have to report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we will hear from Superintendent Therosian.
We have pictures of the kings and queens with our Monroe bots. Yeah. And here are hippie bots and kings and queens. I'm happy to report that they have returned safely from Houston at this extraordinary competition. We hope to recognize them at an upcoming board meeting. They did well, and more specifics will be forthcoming. They did not do well enough to continue on. I guess if this is international, if this is the world's, then they will not be going to the stratosphere. Yeah. But we are incredibly proud. I did want to call attention to the Lion King program because I just thought it was so beautiful, and the The artwork was done by a Wild Rose student, Sophie Rabaya, with a school competition. So thank you again, Wild Rose, for an extraordinary opportunity. And that concludes my report.
Short report, okay. All right, at this time, we'll take public comments, and first, we will take public comments for items that are not on the agenda. Are there any speaker cards, Ms. Huff?
There are none.
All right, hearing none, seeing nobody jumping up out of the seats, are there any comments for items on the open session agenda?
There are none.
None? All right, then we will move on to informational reports and get a report on the village after-school program. Mr. McFadden.
Board Member Gilliland and members of the board, Dr. Tarosian and Cabinet, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about one of the other programs I get to be happily involved in. And I will echo also the mentionings of the Lion King. We took our PMCELC kids up there for a field trip the other day, and they thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was an amazing production. So just another shout out to the Lion King and the folks over and students over at Wild Rose. So I'm going to talk about the Village Extended School Program. This year we have close to 600 students that are enrolled at the 6 different school sites that we operate at. That represents about 350 families across those 6 different school sites. One of the things that we talked about last year was the implementation of automation in the program. So Easy Child Track was successfully implemented this year as an online system to handle several different things that we do in the program, including registration, collection of fees, programming, scheduling, that sort of thing. So we're still continuing to tap into all the facets of that program, but it was a successful implementation, definitely for registration and bill collections, which was a huge piece to what we do. The next thing was that our elementary schools were chosen to pilot the Kids Smart Personal Safety Program. It fit in really well with what we do with our students for their social and emotional safety things that we teach after school. So we were one of the few schools selected to pilot that program in LA County. And also we were mentioned throughout the Parent Fees Manual for Expanded Learning Programs. Prominently, I was sitting on that committee for the production of that manual that all ACES programs in the state can utilize for information on the parent fees or how to go about implementing a system where you partner with parents for sustainability. So that was very successfully done as well. We just finished our spring stakeholder survey. This is hot off the press as of 2 or 3 days ago. We have a survey that we do every year that we ask our parents and guardians to participate in so we can get their feedback and make decisions going forward with them as a partner with us. So some of the key parts of that was 100% of our stakeholders were in favor of a fee increase for sustainability of the program. We know that we are a self-sustaining program. We need to continue to run and partner with our parents so that we can keep the program viable over the years. Another piece of that survey was that a majority of our stakeholders prefer a district-run village program or district-run ACES program as opposed to other options that are not district-run. So that's good news for us. And then less than 15% of stakeholders are in favor of reducing students or closing the before school program to manage sustainability. So again, we want to work with the parents to help them understand, be transparent with them that we have sustainability issues that we have to continue to look at as we remain viable over the years. And then we had a third question that was address some of the youth development and leadership focus that we have, and that's a word cloud that came out with some of the responses that the stakeholders were giving us. So it's good feedback for me to take back to our staff as we continue to implement a continuous quality improvement cycle and look into what we can do continuously to make our program as good as possible. So there's two big components of our program. One is academic assistance, which we provide at all 6 sites, and that takes on different flavors, everything from homework assistance. I have a strong working relationship with our friends, the principals, administrators in the district, our cabinet members, to talk about what's in the best interest of our students in the 3+ hours that we have them in our program after school in terms of reaching their academic potential. We also try and be very intentional about building activities into the program that are academic but fun too, so they can learn while they play while they learn. So we do all kinds of things from rocket launching. There's been engineering projects. There's science action clubs at the 2 middle schools, book reading clubs. So there's a variety of things that we look to do to engage the students in something that's academic, but they can have fun that's a little bit out of the norm of the regular instructional day. Then we have a host of enrichment activities we provide. We've been doing a Noise Within drama residency for the last few years. We did that successfully again at the middle schools this year. We have, each site has different field trips that they go to, so they visit libraries, the elementary schools, local businesses, and they partner with the community in different ways, usually after school, so that you'll see groups of students walking around with people in orange shirts. That's the village, that's the village folks going on their walking field trips throughout the community. And we have a variety of clubs at each of the sites, so there's everything from art, dance, gardening, fitness, food. There's all kinds of food clubs that they do. So again, it's all about what that staff and what those students are choosing to do at that particular site for enrichment. We also have strong leadership opportunities. We want to give the students some leadership in the program so that they can begin to own something that they can call their own when they're with us from 3 to 6, or when school gets out to 6 o'clock every day. We have a process, all ACES programs, that's the grant that funds our program. All ACES programs have 12 quality standards that we have to pay attention to. That little icon on the bottom is our continuous quality improvement cycle. So we pay attention to all 12, but we focus on a couple of them. So for the point of service standard, youth voice and leadership is the one that we've chosen to focus on for this year and next year. On the programmatic quality standard, clear vision, mission, and purpose are the two things that we want to make and point of emphasis as we move the program forward. Social emotional support is a big piece of what we do. We implement PBIS, social emotional learning, and youth development into how we construct the program at each site. We follow district policies and procedures. We have positive behavior reward systems in place. We participate in a variety of trainings, first aid, CPR, our mental health initiative that we take part in. And again, like I said, we follow and want to be in alignment with the district. And that's one of the reasons why our stakeholders like what we do, because we are in alignment with the district in terms of a lot of things, including policy and procedures. And all of our sites do character education in lots of different ways, lessons on character education, lessons on social emotional adjustment, leadership, etc. We have kindness campaigns, anti-bullying lessons, social and interpersonal skills development, etc. So there's a lot of things, a lot of layers to what we do at each of the 6 sites. So we are going to start our priority registration for existing families on that Easy Child Track system. That's going to start on May 6th and go to May 17th. So the families that are in good standing with us have the opportunity to have guaranteed space into next year's program. And then we'll open up regular registration on May 29th for new families or families that want to come back into the program. So that's a quick overview of Village and where we're at this year. Can I answer any questions?
Thanks for that, Tom. One quick question I have is that open registration begins May 29th. Is there a closing date for that, or?
Yes, May 29th of 2020.
All right, so those parents...
we'll take registration all year long. So
those parents that want to get their kids into the after-school program, if you're not in it now, starting the 29th, you can sign up for next year, and the sooner the better, but they take registration all year.
Can you go back to your second slide, Tom?
Sure. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I just got lost. Yeah, I might end up there, actually.
Step away from the clicker.
No.
That's the second slide. I want that one. That's
Okay.
the one. Surveys interest me.
Uh-huh.
We found out before that there's 600 students that represent 350 families, I think was the number.
Right. Uh-huh.
How did you disperse the survey?
We dispersed the survey through SurveyMonkey. So I created a SurveyMonkey survey. We had 105 people respond to the survey.
So roughly 1/3 of the families that we were serving responded to the survey.
Right.
When the majority of stakeholders, because we have numbers on the first and the third line, 100% said one thing and then 15%. Can you tell me what that majority was?
In favor of a fee increase, so 70.
No, it says 100%'s there.
Oh, majority of the stakeholders prefer a district-run program. It was like 75%.
75.
Mid-70s, yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. And you were going to say about the first one?
Oh, 100% of the stakeholders fee, that was the combination of 76% of the stakeholders agreeing with a $3 to $5 increase and the rest agreeing to a $6 to $8 increase. So,
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
yeah.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Mr. McFadden, can you let us know what the 6 sites are?
Oh, sure.
Where the village program is?
So the 2 middle schools, so Clifton and Santa Fe, and then the 4 elementary schools we're at is Plymouth, Monroe, Brad Oaks, and Wild Rose. So we're not at Mayflower is what all that boils down to.
And I also wanted you to very briefly maybe give a little overview of, you know, you're talking here about the funding and the fees. There is a grant in this.
Yep.
Maybe explain a little bit about.
Sure.
Just
Yeah, no problem. I do this all the time. So the cost to run Village is right around $950,000. The grant that supports our program, which is the After School Education Safety Grant, ACES, is about $700,000. So that difference is where we need the parents to collaborate with us, and that's where the fees come from. And that's also where the conversation comes from in terms of how does this community want to run an ACES, because there's different ways to run ACES programs. District run is one way. Community-based organizations is another way. So we've done a good job, at least, working with the parents to show them what some of the options could be. For the past couple of years, the community has said that they prefer a district-run program, which implies district-run prices.
So you're saying you're looking at moving away from the grant-funded program?
Oh, no. We will not be able to replace $700,000,
I mean,
that's for sure.
How do we move more towards a district-run village program and still incorporate the grant?
We will always incorporate the grant. What I like to take this data and use it for is when we have to increase fees, that there's a rhyme and a reason for it. So, for example, our fee right now in the after-school program is $30 a week. And then we have a sliding scale for those on free lunch and reduced lunch. But, next year, if we don't increase the fees, then that gap will continue to climb. Unless we get money from the state, which is, that's hard to do.
Right. And I know that you worked on that a few years ago. Have you gotten any money from the state?
Well, we did get a ACES rate increase thanks to our little friends at Monroe, was a large part of that. And we're in conversation, we, meaning the after-school arena, is in conversation right now with a couple of assemblymen to put a bill forward in for this year. Whether we get another increase or not, I'm not sure. But what we do know is going to happen is that costs are going to continue to go up. That we know for sure. And our funding is going to remain flat. So.
Well, thank you for answering my question.
Sure.
Hi.
Hi.
Question. The district has been experiencing declining enrollment over the last few years. Have you, the Village program, experienced something similar?
So Well, first of all, yes, to put it mildly. Yet we have declining enrollment too. So again, we'll have to capture a bigger piece of a smaller pie. When we have dwindling enrollment or declining enrollment, if we go below the threshold of where we're funded at, we'll get a cut in our funding. So attendance becomes very important for us. Right now, our 4 elementary schools seem to be in good shape, except for the first semester. We had lower enrollment than expected at Wild Rose and Brad Oaks. We seen that has seemed to have stabilized the second semester. Middle schools is always a little bit challenging. One of the reasons is that elementary parents, they have to put their kids there. Middle school parents sometimes feel like their kids have choices, and so there's a little bit different of a an instinct to go into the middle school program. But overall, I think our attendance is stabilized, but we will always pay attention to where we're at with attendance. And we have to increase the quality of the program, because that's the only way we're going to draw a bigger piece of a smaller pie.
I just had a, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I just said thank you.
I just had a quick comment, really wasn't a question. You said that you guys were doing a good job. I think you guys are doing a great job. And the proof is really in the pudding when it's one thing, and we try this all the time, to go to the state or the federal government and try to get money. But you actually were able to do that, and it wasn't because you just went with your hand out. It was because we had people come and see what you were doing, and you and your staff and your program showed why it deserved those why it deserved those funds. So I just wanted to say, great job.
Thank you, Mr. Wong. Appreciate that.
I will echo that, Tom. Thanks so much for your leadership, and thanks to the staff of Village that does such a great job. All right, thank you. We will move on to dual immersion program update and turn the podium over to Dr. Jarvis.
Good evening, Board President Gilliland, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Tarosian, and cabinet members. My dress is a gift from my students. This is not something that you can purchase at Nordstrom's, and I wasn't attacked by kindergartners with a marker in a class. This was part of a fundraising opportunity for the kids, and the kids came together last week to draw on my dress, and I wore it today at the Pride Gathering, which was a very special gift to the community this morning. It is my pleasure this evening to share with you some updates about our dual immersion program, some exciting things that have happened over the last 9 years, but most recently, the last couple years have been a very productive time in dual immersion. I'd like to share with you and thank my colleagues here, Jen Jackson and Courtney and Felicia, who have been part of our journey, along with a group of community members, task force members, who came together last year periodically to meet and talk about our vision for dual immersion for our students. And these are some of the members, or the members of the elementary task force representatives, some members from Monroe. You see that there's parents, there's teachers, administrators, and so on. And then at Clifton, we had a parent and 2 teachers, and Monrovia High School was represented by a teacher and Felicia Limbrick. And our mission at that time was really to talk about, what do we want for our kids? What do we want our dual immersion students to not only experience academically, but also experientially in their journeys as students of dual immersion? And we aligned much of our conversation and our studying together along the vision of California 2030, which the former California Superintendent of Schools has a vision that by 2030 we would, offer bilingual education to our children, triple the number of students who have access to that. And we've seen that many public schools are moving in that direction. So Monrovia Unified, it being such a fine district, we wanted to make sure that we continue to refine and improve our service to our students. And what I'd like to share with you this evening is some of the ideas that we talked about, and hope that you are willing to support, because these are important distinctions for our dual immersion program, because it's growing. couple of the things that are important to the mission and the goal of dual immersion is to recognize the commitment of our students to this rigorous program. The kids have to, learn and immerse themselves in a foreign language. They do it in their academic subjects, and it's rigorous. It's hard for them, and so at different points in their academic journey, we want to recognize their commitment to biliteracy. That would happen at the 5th grade, 8th grade, and then at their high school graduation, with recognizing their commitment to the program. And we also want to recognize the development of biliteracy, the proficiency in 2 languages, yeah? So what we have done is we looked at all our metrics that we use at elementary, at middle, and at high school, and we identified the metrics that we think that most represents proficiency in the target language and in English. And so here is the elementary proficiency recommendations that we've made, is that at the end of the 4th grade, right, the students take the SBAC. They take the SBAC in English. And so we would take that metric and we would use that as a gauge for their proficiency in English. We would also take a measure of their speaking, reading, and writing abilities in the target language. So for Monroe, Spanish. For Plymouth, it would be Mandarin. And then at the end of their 5th grade year, we would recognize them at the promotion ceremony with a distinction. Another aspect of demonstrating proficiency in their target language would be a presentation that they would make. It could be a presentation, we haven't worked out that specific detail, but a place where they present publicly, either in front of their parents or other classmates and so on, and they present on an academic topic, and they present academically in the target language. At the middle school, similarly, we would use the results of their SBAC scores in English language arts, standard Met or above, also demonstrate proficiency in the target language, and then have a culminating presentation in Spanish. And then at the high school, it would be really following what the California requires to attain the seal of biliteracy. The commitment award at the 5th grade promotion ceremony would be given to the students, like I said, who participated in the program from TK or kinder and who have been committed to the program. And that is detached of proficiency, just students who are every day in our dual immersion program committed to maintaining their status as a dual immersion student. And then the proficiency attainment recognition would be any student that achieves and demonstrates proficiency in both languages, and we would recognize those kids with a seal on their promotion certificate. Similarly, at the middle school, the commitment distinction, and that could be, something like a tassel or a medal or just something that distinguishes them at their promotion ceremony, and then the proficiency attainment recognition, again, using the metrics that I discussed. And then again, at the graduation ceremony at Monrovia High School, again, another public distinction. At that time, maybe we talked about sashes, things like that. And then, of course, the seal of biliteracy, the proficiency in all, and meeting all of the different criteria established by the state of California. Do you have any questions about the work that we did or our recognitions at the various points?
I have just, I don't know if it's a question or a comment or a request, it's whatever it is. We've got some really good students in the dual immersion program, some really good students that are working really hard. And when they graduate from high school, I would like to see them graduate with some college credits. We have 2 different programs where kids can get college credits, and that's the AP program and the early college program. So I don't know if your committee's had a chance to look at that and how that's going to be structured, but I hope we're working with Citrus and our AP programs to make sure that these hardworking kids that are so smart and have the opportunity and the ability get that college credit when they graduate. Plus, all of this is great stuff. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you. So your recommendation, we have talked about that, and I'm excited to share that we are working hard to build a partnership with UNAM. UNAM is the University of Mexico. It's like equivalent to the UC system here in California. They have 2 satellite colleges here, one in at CSUN, Cal State Northridge, and then another one in downtown LA. And they offer things like a certification for translation and for interpretation. And so we're working with Catherine Real to make that and embed that into the curriculum for our dual immersion students so they can take that course, take that exam, and have a certificate to be a translator or an interpreter, things like that. I know that the high school has worked very hard to anticipate the first cohort of dual immersion students. They're going to start next year, and Felicia has done an extraordinary job at aligning the master schedule. So the children who have been students who have been part of the dual immersion program and show proficiency in Spanish are able to take AP Lit in 9th grade, right? It's amazing. It's remarkable that they will leave with your suggestions. And we've worked really hard over the last 2 years to make that possible.
Other questions or comments? Thanks so much for presenting. This is such a great program. We've watched it grow and grow and grow and get better every year. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the staff analysis position control report. Dr. Jackson.
Board President Gilliland, members of the board, Dr. Terosian, cabinet members, community. Thank you for allowing me this moment in time to bring our position control or our projections for the 19-20 school year in comparison to our actual positions. This document reflects, and I just wanted to highlight this reflects positions allocated to the district based on the revenue that we receive based on student enrollment. This does not reflect the number of people in the district. Specifically, there are approximately 355 certificated individuals in our district, but this document, if you add it up, shows approximately 306 positions for certificated within the district. It's reflective of our counselors, our administrators, our teachers, school psychologists, our district nurse, our nurse that works with the medically fragile, as well as our speech and language pathologists. Now, some of these positions are funded through the general fund, and others are funded categorically, whether it's Title I and or S&C funds, as an example, and or you may have a combination of those. You also have, we have some situations where people are split across a couple of sites. So I just want to highlight this. I'm going to try this out for you tonight. Right here, this is our representative of one of our teachers who provides physical education instruction to 5 of our elementary sites, just traveling throughout the week. We also have our CLC director, as you see there. We don't have a half of director running CLC in the extended schools program, so there's a split there between our general fund, if you will, and then some grant funding. Now, what stands out here, there are a couple of categories, whether it's the administrative positions or categorically funded positions, counselors, and the individual who I just highlighted over in other, as well as if you look all the way down where it says 7.5, reflecting our school psychologists, et cetera. Those numbers have all pretty much stayed status quo, and reason being, several years ago, during that time when we were reducing staff members, we saw some reductions in those particular areas. The highlight then here is our two other areas, our classroom teachers for general education and special education. And we spent significant time last year during some of our board members educating our community members as well as our classified and teachers association on our staffing ratios, as well as starting in December, bringing them along and providing them with updates as how they may be impacted. So as you can see on for the classroom teachers from 1819 to 1920, we have a reduction of approximately 8 positions here. What I'd like to highlight, we've done a couple of things that, with the focus on the district being fiscally solvent, but still retaining our most significant commodity within the district is our people. I think you guys know it's about 81% of our budget. And so we've been able to stave off layoffs during a couple of different things. 3 years ago, we offered that retirement incentive. I think we had approximately 22 people take that retirement incentive, but we only needed to backfill about 7 of those positions. Subsequently, we've been able to utilize attrition, whether people were retiring and or moving out of town or closer to home, some additional possible non-reelects or what have you, have also allowed us to be able to, over the course of time, reduce the positions within the classroom. And then the key is without necessarily impacting class sizes. We entered into a memorandum of understanding with our Monrovia Teachers Association 2 years ago. We had a slight uptick in our staffing ratio, and that as well allowed us to, over a course of time, be able to have some gradual reductions within our staffing. And so I think we've been able to continue to support our students while maintaining our best here in the classroom. Over on the special education side, we are projecting a slight increase in staffing for special ed, but we know that we have some initial assessments that are in process right now, and so we'll have some results here in the next few weeks that will assist us in staffing for special ed. We also will have some students possibly exiting, whether they've completed the educational tenure here and or possibly moves outside of the district. We're optimistic that instead of adding an additional staff member in special education, we'll be able to utilize our internal capacity to be able to address that possible gap. So this is the district's overall certificated positions, and they are in line with the budget. Connie Wu, Assistant Superintendent of Business, and David Conway have done a great job in collaborating with myself in the HR department. I think we highlighted it last year that we were a few tenths, if you will, off of what we projected for staffing, and I think we're again in line with the district's vision of remaining solvent and balancing the budget. Questions?
Darvin, I think what you told us just now was that we're going to get less money, we're going to have less teachers, but we're going to have less students. So end result, class sizes are going to stay about the same.
Correct.
Okay.
And I've shared that.
Was that the summary?
That was the summry.
Okay.
Very, very nicely done.
Any other question?
Wow, that's kind of tough to follow. I just want to make sure I understood correctly. So currently there's approximately 306 full-time employee or an equivalent, right? So
correct.
And we're estimating due to population decline, student population decline, that we're going to need 8 less teachers.
Yes, approximately.
So our need for next year will be about 298 full-time equivalents. And we currently have on staff 350.
Roughly. We have some people job sharing and things of that nature, so it makes it interesting.
So the 350, just to make sure I'm understanding, that's not 350 full-time employees.
Correct. That's why I made that distinction early on. These are positions. These are not people on this document. We have a good amount of splits within the district.
Okay.
Connie, you want to chime in on the business side?
Board, what the document present is called full-time equivalent. It's the number of the staff in the classroom. It's not the number of employee on our employee list.
All right, any other questions,
You said
comments?
some of these positions are a shared position.
Correct.
Besides the physical education, can you give us another example of a shared position?
Well, they wouldn't necessarily show up here, but just within the teaching staff, if I can focus on that, you have some people that are job shares, and so you may have somebody who's working 60%, and then you may have somebody who's working 40%. You may have somebody who's working 50% of the week, and the other individual is working 50% of the week. Those would be two examples of job shares.
Other questions, comments? Thanks so much. Appreciate the report. All right, we'll move on to consent agenda. Routine items placed on the consent agenda have been carefully screened, and we'll take one action on them all. Consent agenda, or item number 1819/1134 has been pulled. Are there any other changes to consent? Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All right, Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, we'll move on to that item that was pulled, 1819-1134, which is number 4 under consent. It's a personal services contract for real-time captioning. Dr. Jackson.
President Gilliland.
Almost demoted you there.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I know.
That's okay. You're president of the board.
Mr. Doctor. Mr. Doctor.
The Board of Education is requested to ratify a personnel service contract agreement with Diana Brandon Real-Time Captioning to provide captioning services for a special education student. This indeed is one particular student. This agreement will be in effect from July 1, 2018 to June 30, 2019. This agreement provides captioning services for a particular student as required by the student's IEP. The provider will furnish services for the student for a total not to exceed $89,100. And I do have my director of special ed here if we had some questions that I may not be able to answer.
Questions?
Dr. Jackson, thank you. Have we researched an alternative contract for a different price?
In speaking with my director of special ed, we have. At this time, this was the best price and service to provide for this student, and we will continue to do so in future years.
And thank you for adding that. I wasn't just concerned about the price, but also maintaining the service. My next question is, from what fund does this $89,100 come from? From what fund does this come?
This is the general fund, but it is associated with special ed. So our special ed fees are paid out of the general fund. Connie, you can add to that if you would like.
Yeah, with the document is shared the short version. As the board already aware that the special ed funding the state gave us is never enough to educate our special ed kids because they have a various different requirement. So basically, every year the district general fund contribute millions of dollars to support special ed fund. So what Darwin said, essentially is paid by general fund because special education fund never enough.
Thank you. You have mentioned that this is a service providing captioning for a special education student. If there were more than one or two or 10, if there were more than one student, would this contract cover more than one student?
I'm going to allow Jennifer to answer that one.
So this particular contract is set up specifically for this child. At this time, we don't have any other children in the district that are requiring this level of service. So if that were to come across in another IEP for a student, we would have to revisit the contract and bring it back.
So this price is for one student and it's designed only for one student. It's not like Wi-Fi, where if there were more students, they could just tap into it, for lack of a better term.
No, it's very individualized and it's specific for the student. So they're taking real-time captioning and they're inputting it into a device and having it being presented directly to that child on a device. So on an iPad or a computer screen, everything that's being said around that child is being inputted in with the CART services for that child to have access and be able to read it on the screen. So that's why it's very specific to this particular child. And our deaf and hard of hearing students is considered a low incidence disability, so there are very few students throughout the state of California and within each district, because it is exactly what it's a low incidence. It happens very infrequently. So here in Monrovia, we have one student that's in our district of residence that we service. District of service, we do have other students who are in the category of deaf that are serviced by our deaf and hard of hearing program through the SELPA. And we also have several other students that are hard of hearing. So DHH services are kind of all combined in that.
All right, any other questions, comments? Could I have a motion?
Just as a reminder, the corrected version of the contract is being approved with the numbers on the original that had been distributed. It had been written out as 81,900 as opposed to the correct amount of 89,100. So that's been corrected.
So you want to state again what the correct amount is?
$89,100.
Okay, could we have a motion to spend that much money on this contract?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. Let's catch up with this again. All right. Moving on to 1819-113, Board Policy for Student Assessment. Dr. Kaiser.
Yes, Board President Gilliland and members of the board and Dr. Trosian, we are bringing before you tonight the Board Policy 6162.5 on student assessment. The Board of Education is requested to receive for first reading Board Policy 6162.5, student assessment as recommended by the California School Boards Association. As part of the Board of Education's commitment to review and update all MUSD board policies and administrative regulations, Educational Services has conducted its annual review of the department's board policies and administrative regulations and is presenting another policy for review and approval. School districts receive regular policy updates from the California School Boards Association, which are compared to the existing policies to determine the extent or modification that is needed. This policy contains revisions as recommended by CSBA for Board Policy 6162.5, student assessment. This policy has been reviewed by the appropriate instructional stakeholders prior to presenting it for board review and approval. Additionally, Board Member Hammond has reviewed the board policy and made no further adjustments. In this policy, the first part of this policy talks about the local control accountability plan, and that the summary data on the student assessments results shall be used by the district to identify and review student achievement goals in the district's local control accountability plan, to evaluate district educational programs in order to identify needed improvements, and furthermore to align materials that are taught, so the assessments will align with the materials that are taught. Also, as appropriate, assessment results shall be disaggregated by student groups, classroom, grade level, and/or school site to allow for critical analysis of student needs. And as needed, to assist administrators and teachers in interpreting and using assessment data and to improve student improvement, there will be professional development programs developed for assisting teachers and administrators. In the area of interim and formative assessments, these shall not be used for evaluations or any other high-stakes purposes.
All right, any questions or comments? Now, we don't need a motion on this since it's only the first reading, but can I get agreement from the board to bring this back on the consent? Waive the second reading?
Yes,
I see consent around the board. All right, then, we'll move on to item 2, business services, transportation service agreement with some services.
Yes.
Ms. Wu.
Good evening, Mr. Glenn and Board of Education and Superintendent Dr. Torosian, Cabinet, and administrators, communities. We as an organization, we are ongoing and improve our operation efficiency and reduce our cost. So we as a district, the article require us to provide the transportation for the special education students. And every year we look at the vendors we currently have and looking for new vendors who can provide the same or higher quality of service, but at a lower rate. So we found Zoom, and the organization, the rate they quote us will much less compared with the current one of the current vendor who provide our special education transportation. So therefore, we request the board to approve this service agreement. So they are starting next year, so that we can further reduce our operation costs at the same time continue to provide a high quality service to our students.
Any questions or comments?
I have 2
Ms.
questions, please, Ms. Wu. Who was our previous transportation? What? No.
Go ahead, continue your question.
Can I ask that?
Sure.
Yeah,
I think different question. I think.
Sure. We have contracts that are public knowledge
They're
of who
public
the contracts that we have with. Yeah, we have several.
Who do we have our contract with?
Yeah, we have several. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we have several organizations.
I'll move around that question to my next question. How have we vetted this new company, Zoom?
Yeah, our former MOD director, Mr. Larry Kors, when he was work at Northern California, and he actually have a working relationship with this company that his former school district used this organization, and this organization is expand its services to the south, and one of our neighbor school district currently use that organization to provide a transportation service.
Okay, so our previous MOT director had personal experience working, professional experience working with this company, and that's how we have vetted this new company, Zoom.
That's correct. That we get know this company, and we do our research and get our quote and do the comparison, and we would like to give it a try.
something inside me says Zoom for school transportation seems great. Seems great, like a great name for a company that's going to save us money. Any other questions or comments? Could I have the motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Hammond,
Yes.
Board Member Travanti,
Yes.
Board Member Wong,
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie,
I'm sorry. Can you, what is the motion to
approve the
this
contract.
agreement?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, item 3 is purchase of HVAC units. Ms. Wu?
Yes, I would like to invite our current MOT Director, Ms. Fernando Martinez, to present the agenda to the board. Is he here? Is he here?
Except he stepped out.
He stepped out? Okay, I did not see. Okay, yeah, I can do. Board, we have report to you that the state gave us the grant money to improve the facility efficiency to across the board of state of California public school, and the district received around $1.3 million for that project. And the deadline to encode the money is this June 30th. So we plan to start the project this summer. And while in the process, hire a contractor to do the project, and we realized that it will take 4 to 6 weeks to make the units ready for starting project. So in order to make sure that we have units be ready when school end, which is the scheduled project starting, and we would like to go ahead to seek the units so that we will go ahead and purchase while we're still in the process of hire company who replace the unit. So we would like to have the board approve the district go directly purchase units from Chen, which is all the designated units by our architect firm. So by doing this, we will seal the number of units are available when we start the project this summer. Our goal is to finish the preliminary HVAC replacement this summer, and then next summer we'll work on the Clifton.
So that brings me to 2 questions. Number 1 question is that by doing this with the purchase first of the equipment and the hiring of the contractor later, do we have a problem with any of the state laws, regulation, rules on split purchases? And number 2 question is, are we sure that we won't be paying more than the contractor would if we hired the whole job as one with the purchase by the contractor?
Yeah. So number 1 question, I want to clarify what I just present, and it's just the timing. We're in the process of RFP process, hire company to replace the HVAC, and then actually we already received a response. So the next board meeting we will present the board for approved agreement. So at the same time, it will take 6 to 8 weeks to get units ready. So we try to coordinate with the hire company to do the work. At the meantime, we want to make sure that the HVAC units is ready and the contract can finish the project this summer. So it's just coordination. And if the contractor will purchase the units, they will purchase from also the same vendor as Trend, because when architecture design and get DSA approved, the units, the model is certain. We normally, it's this approved by DSA, we will purchase same units. It's just the district purchase from a vendor or the contractor purchase. Because of timing, coordinating the project, we decided to do this way.
And the contractor wouldn't get any more discount than we'll get.
Yeah, I don't know whether the contract will have a more discount by they order from Chen instead of us.
Be the same suppliers, what you're saying.
That's correct. Definitely same supplier. But I think based on my experience, most likely a lot of the contract they probably will do some markups. when they order units from their end.
So the answer is we don't know.
That's
Right.
correct, and I can get back to
I
board.
mean, the reason Ed asked this question, I'm sure, is if you're a high volume purchaser of anything, you will often get a discount. So if my sole job is to install very expensive equipment and I buy all of my equipment from the same person, it's very possible that they're going to give me a break on price because they want all of my business versus a one-time deal or perceived as a one-time shop. So that is, it may be the case, may not be the case, but based on the dollar amounts that we're looking at, it could be very substantial. So unless, and we know that the lead time to get this equipment is substantial. And if you're already in negotiations with various contractors, I personally would be far more comfortable hearing bids from the contractors with and without them purchasing the equipment, or to get a verbal from them to say whether they view it to be a positive or a negative. So if you talk to our existing contractors who are going to install, and ask them the question, would we get this unit cheaper if we went through you or not? They're going to know the answer as a yes or a no. So I can't imagine, if you've already identified the contractors, that this is going to take but an extra day.
I will reach out to Tran, and I think
no, not Tran, unless that's your contractor.
The vendor actually, the company who do the job, they
not
actually
the vendor, because the vendor often is contractually required to give you a list price, not the prices that their various contractors that they've negotiated separate prices with. So you need to speak with the contractors that you're looking to bid the project out with, not with the person whose name brand it is, Tran in this case, of the equipment, because they have contractual requirements of what they can tell you. They cannot tell you what their negotiated prices with their contractors are. Now, I'm not sure that's the case with this particular product, but that's frequently the case with high volume projects.
I would definitely ask. The other things is, even if the contract, they can get discount, whether they are willing to pass the discount to the district. That piece I'm not quite sure, but I would get the information for you.
Did our MOT, I'm sorry, Brian, did our MOT director do an analysis of what the reasonable priced AC unit would be? And does this fall within the guidelines of what that reasonable price is?
I think he is, but I'm trying to looking for him. I don't know where he went. Yeah.
Connie, if we don't make a decision today about this, what does that do to our timeline?
It will postpone. There's a possibility we may not have units when the school ends. And if we don't have units there, it will postpone the project during the summer. So that's why I try to build some time cushion here. And again, there's also another thing we don't know right now, because we changed the units at the top of the roof. If during the process, our building is old, that may trigger another additional work for the project.
So we're so close to the timeline that 2 weeks would put us, that we would not be finished before school starts?
Right now, there's a lot of uncertainty, because we try to start the project right after the school end, which is the second week of June. And this is the entire campus. And then right now, we don't know when we're starting take off the older units, what happened with the roof. Is there additional work needed to do?
Well, we haven't chosen that. We don't have the contractor yet.
That's correct. So that's why.
So these two things can run concurrently. because we're going to be looking at making sure that this is the best price possible. And at the same time, you're going to be making the phone call to see if these guys can beat this price. So they can run, and then we could approve them at the same meeting or not approve them at the same meeting. And you'd still be able to start because you can't start until you approve the contractor anyway.
Yes, the thing is, the critical piece that I'm thinking about is from the district approved the purchase, it will take between 6 to 8 weeks to get units ready. So that is
a new
timing.
wrinkle. Today, this is a new wrinkle because we're going to have a piggyback, which means that somebody in a government agency in the last 6 months bought these things at this price, so that we don't have to go out and get 3 prices for it. That's what's before us right now.
That's right.
The problem
If this didn't show up to us tonight, then we would have hired a contractor in 2 weeks' time, and they would have gone out and procured air conditioners at a set amount of dollars.
And they would have had a 6-week lead time from the time they got that contract to the time they would get delivery of the units.
Right.
So that would mean that they couldn't start at the week school was out. They would have to wait 2 weeks later to start the project.
Then that's our fault.
That's if we
Well,
start
that's
now.
our fault, yeah.
Yeah.
And the question becomes, is that 2-week late start at the front gonna push us into being completed after the
If
after
you put the
school
order
year
in
starts?
tomorrow, how long do you have to cancel the contract? If it takes them 6 to 8 weeks to deliver the product, how long do you have before you can cancel the contract? And I know we can cancel it because if we brought a contractor on, for example, and we found another roof problem, which would really not be a shocker to anybody, and they said, no, this unit you ordered is too big, it's 300 pounds too much, you need to get a smaller unit, we would change it.
What you mentioned that in the regular course is correct, but this project is a little unique because in our architect design, it is specifically model. So we have
So the original question stands. If you put it in an order, how long do you have to cancel it?
Based on this term, once we place the order and it looks like we cannot cancel for based on the term and condition for this agreement.
Is our MOT director coming back, or is he gone for the evening?
Yeah, he probably has some emergency.
I was just gonna,
His stuff still here? Could we just table this until we see if he gets back, and if not, we'll take it up as the last item?
Okay.
Is that okay with the board?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, we'll just table that and see if he gets back. Because I've got a feeling he's got some answers that we need. Then let's take up Dr. Jackson's item on Staff Appreciation Day, Day of the Teacher, classified as School Employee Week.
Board President Gilliland, members of the board, Dr. Tarosian. Resolution number 1819.10 in honor of Monrovia Staff Appreciation Day, Day of the Teacher, and Classified School Employee Week. Our recommendation is to express gratitude and appreciation to employees for their service to Monrovia Unified School District and the youth of the community. The Board of Education is requested to adopt resolution number 18-10, declaring May 6th through the 10th, 2019 as National Teacher Appreciation Week, May 7th, 2019 as Day of the Teacher, and declaring May 19th through the 25th as Classified School Employee Week.
So moved.
Any questions or comments?
Second.
We're ready. We have a vote, please, Ms. Huff.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. Administrative Professional Week and Professional Day, Dr. Jackson.
Continuing with recognition of our exceptional employees, resolution recognizing April 22nd through the 26th, 2019 as Administrative Professionals Week and April 24th, 2019 as Administrative Professional Day. The Board of Education is requested to adopt resolution number 1819-11, recognizing April 22nd through the 26th, 2019 as Administrative Professionals Week, and Wednesday, April 24th, 2019 as Administrative Professionals Day.
Discussion or motion?
So moved.
Oh, Rob was first. We have a second? Oh, versus. All right. Could we have the vote, please?
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes, and I hope the administrative personnel of this district enjoyed their day today.
What better way to spend it, right?
Yeah.
With us.
And I know you've got some plans to recognize everyone, so we appreciate that because we have such great staff. All right, moving on to Health Services Appreciation Week, National School Nurses Day. Dr. Jackson.
The Board of Education is requested to adopt a resolution declaring May 6th to the 10th, 2019 as School Health Services Appreciation Week, and that May 8th, 2019 is recognized as National School Nurse Day to recognize and honor the contribution of school nurses and health clerks to quality education in the state of California and the Monrovia Unified School District.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, since our MOT director has put out the fires and gotten back, could we go back to the purchase of the HVAC units? And while you were out, there were a couple of questions about the difference in price of this unit if we bought them versus if a contractor bought them, and the timing of this project. How would it be thrown off if we only waited 2 weeks to approve this?
Yes, and I sincerely apologize. I was putting out a couple of fires out there. But good evening, Board President Gilliland, board members, Dr. Trosian, members of Cabinet, and staff. Again, I apologize. Yes, so the rationale behind purchasing those units was because of timing, first of all. We realized that we are not the only districts that are conducting the construction based on the Prop 39 guidelines. There's many districts out there, so what I have experienced is that all those units, people, districts, they go out there and do their purchasing a lot earlier than we did. And there was a big possibility of those units being delayed, therefore delaying our project. On top of that, by doing that, we have saved money by us getting the units and not paying the markup from the contractor. So those are the main reasons. There's 27 units for Plymouth that we are purchasing. That's including the curbs, and the curbs are the base of the units. So basically, that's it in a nutshell. We are ready. We have timelines as to when those units would be arrived. It will take from 3 to 4 weeks. And we're only, a couple of months away from June.
So in your experience as a professional in the business, you believe that we can get these units cheaper by purchasing them ourselves than by contracting for a contract that includes the purchase?
Yes, and basically the driving force behind this was mainly because of the timing. So again, in addition to that, we are saving the market cost somewhere around, I want to estimate somewhere around 20-25%.
Wow, that's a lot. Other questions? Comments?
I just want to make sure that that I'm clear on what I'm hearing you say. Is it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks for us to get the units if we purchase them on our own. We haven't settled on a contractor yet, which will be coming in approximately 2 weeks at our next board meeting.
Correct.
That that based on the contractors you've already contacted, that if they order the units, that they will increase the cost of the units by 25%.
Approximately 25%. That's the average. That's the average. That the savings that you will get or we will get.
And why is that?
Because
if you're ordering 29 units, the contractor clearly understands that we have the wherewithal to order them directly. So why would they mark it up 25%?
If they would purchase the units themselves.
If our contract called for the purchase, for them to purchase.
For them to purchase it.
Their bid price would be 25% higher than we're going to buy it off the rack.
Correct. Somewhere around there, yes, approximately.
Okay.
All right, and that's in your experience. Any other questions?
How did we come to decide on purchasing a train unit?
Based on what we have over at the high school, train units, it's a reliable unit. We did some research. We have other units, for example, a carrier that are also similar in reputation. What we wanted to do is try to make it all standardized. We have several units in different units. In certain schools we have carrier, in certain schools we have train. So that's how we decided.
And I totally agree with that decision. I was in the facilities business for many years, and the more standardized your equipment is, the better it makes it for monitoring equipment, for maintenance, for all those things if you have a standardized unit. And so
yes, and that's been my
a good
experience
decision,
as well. Having everything standardized, units, light fixtures. We're trying to get everything standardized so that we won't have 1,000 different parts laying in our warehouse.
Right.
So hopefully that makes sense.
Other questions, comments? Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Ms. Huff, would you please take the vote?
Board Member Hammonds?
No.
Board Member Wong?
No.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2.
Thank you. I really apologize. Good night.
All right, moving on to consideration of readmission of expulsion case number 171807. Who's reading that tonight? Ms. Travanti, do you have a motion for us?
Lockerbie.
It's me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
She read it last time. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking
You were looking
it's
at
your
me
turn.
then.
I
He was
know,
like,
I was
"Wait a
looking
minute."
at you. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay. I move that expulsion case number 1718-07, student number 111-115-779, who has satisfactorily completed the prescribed rehabilitation plan, be readmitted to the Monrovia Unified School District in accordance with Ed Code Section 48916.
Second.
All right, Ms. Huff, would you please take the vote?
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammonds?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Dr. Therosian, would you like to comment on the resolution 181909?
I would. Thank you, President Gillen, members of the board. Each year, the Monrovia Unified School District affirms its commitment to the teaching of understanding and appreciation of diversity within our schools and within our community. It's when those two fundamental elements of humanity are lost that we encounter the gravest instances of man's inhumanity to man. As evidenced by the Holocaust, the genocide in Rwanda, atrocities perpetuated against religious and ethnic minorities in Iraq, Syria, Myanmar, and of the Armenian genocide. Today, April 24th, marks the 104th commemoration of the genocide, which was reported contemporaneously by U.S. Ambassador to Turkey Henry Morgenthau as a carefully planned scheme to thoroughly extinguish the Armenian race. As a grandchild of Armenian genocide survivors, I'm grateful to those like this board who stand for their fellow man. And so the resolution is in the spirit of remembrance to affirm its commitment to the teaching of tolerance, understanding, and appreciation.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, Dr. Throsian, would you like to tell us about the Mental Health Awareness Month?
I would, President Gill and members of the board. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and the Monrovia Unified School District will be recognizing that mental health is essential, as it always has recognized that mental health is essential to the overall health and well-being of our students and staff. And to that end, we are committed to providing counseling and programs and resources that aid in promoting a healthy lifestyle to those that this district serves. And so be it resolved that the governing board of the Monrovia Unified School District proclaim May as Mental Health Awareness Month.
Discussion or motion?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Huff, please take the vote.
Board Member Travanti?
Yes.
Board Member Hammond?
Yes.
Board Member Wong?
Yes.
Board Member Lockerbie?
Yes.
Board President Gilliland?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, moving on to pending board issues. We added a few things at our retreat last Friday, and is there anything particular we need to discuss, Dr. Throsian?
President Gill and members of the board, I would like to note that I had communicated with Senator Ling Ling Chang about this board's opposition to a late start by Senator Portantino's late start bill. And I have also been in communication with David Church and Associates to promote special ed funding. That's HR 1878. I will continue to communicate and develop talking points and submit any correspondence as necessary.
Did the senator remember you?
Not yet.
I have a question. You mentioned that you were reporting this board's opposition to late start. Is that this board or the previous board? Because I don't recall that coming across my desk. Pardon? Okay. So that wasn't this board's opposition. That was the previous board's opposition.
Good point.
That's a good point.
Okay. Because that's.
Is there opposition on this? Is there not? Is there support on this board?
For a late start?
Yeah, for the bill. We've looked at this in the past and talked about the costs of it. We've talked about the impact to parents and the feedback we've received from parents. Is there support for that bill? Is there a desire for more information, or can we agree on that?
Bring it back because, yeah, I can't.
We can as pending board issue. Is it something we're going to bring to the board? Or is it going to continue as policy?
If we have a position that is being taken to a higher representative, then it needs to reflect this board.
I don't.
And so I would like to bring it back.
Okay, if one member wants to bring it back, absolutely, we'll bring it back. So we'll put it on the future and probably tie that in with not only this policy, but other pending litigation and what our policies are going to be, or what this board's going to have to say about those. Okay?
Thank you.
Good
All right, no problem. All right, moving on to old business. We have regular meetings on the 8th and the 22nd of May, and on the 16th of May, we'll have a joint meeting with the Personnel Commission. Any other old business? New business? We have some open houses. We have several dates to calendar, a lot of great things coming up. Any other items under new business? All right, then, we will recess this meeting and, we're gonna go back into closed session, whatever. But after we go into closed session, I just wanna say this now while we've got the camera on, while we got the people here, because we'll go into closed session, we'll come back out and close the meeting. But when we do close it, we're gonna close the meeting in honor of Stephen Florio, the husband of Monrovia custodian Adrian Florio, who's been with the district for they were together for 30 years. And Stephen passed away recently at the age of 53. Our thoughts and prayers are with Adriana and her family at this time, and we will reiterate that at the closing of the meeting. All right, so back to closed session.